Georgia Nowlin, and our valued league volunteers, Linda, where's Linda? Vicky, and Karen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me begin with the League's mission statement. The League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan political organization, encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League does not support or oppose candidates running for elected office. Any voting person can be a member of the League of Women Voters. We have both men and women members, and we invite you to join. Membership forms should be on the back hallway there on the table, and as well as a donation jar, so we welcome new members, please. I'll explain the ground rules for tonight's forum. We have candidates running for the Southwestern Oregon Community College district positions number 2, number 4, and number 7. We have the Harbor Rural Fire Protection District positions number 2 and number 5. And we have the Chetco Community Library District positions of 1 and 5. Only candidates with contested positions are invited to participate in today's forum. Some chose not to participate or could not attend, so not all contested races are represented here tonight. The candidates have drawn numbers to determine speaking order. Each candidate will have 3 minutes for their opening statements. Once that portion is completed, we will go to the question and answer portion of this forum. Only questions submitted on the yellow 3x5 cards you should have received when you entered the room will be asked. There are no oral questions from the audience. Each person should get 1 card. If you did not receive a card and would like one, please raise your hand up now and we'll get one to you. Up here in the front. If your question is directed to a specific person or candidate or office, please state that on the top of your card. When you have the question ready, raise your hand and a league member will recollect it from you. Volunteers, can you please raise your hand so that everyone will know who you are? Thank you very much. Questions will be given to our sorters who will sort the cards according to office, and the questions will be brought to me. We ask to keep your questions in good taste so that important issues can be addressed, and for my sake, please try to write as legibly as possible. We will allow 1.5 minutes for each answer, and we hope to be able to get through all the questions tonight. Following the question and answer portion, each candidate is permitted 2 minutes to give a closing statement. You are welcome to stay and speak with the candidates after the forum. Our timer tonight is Linda Stagg-Brown, and she will hold up a yellow card when 30 seconds of the allotted time remains and a red card when your time's up. Candidates, can you all see the timer? I will make sure that we follow the time limits so that we can end the forum no later than midnight tonight. No later than 9 p.m. Audience members are not permitted to make statements. Also, we ask that you refrain from applause, cheering, hissing, or booing. At the end of the forum, we will have a round of applause for all the candidates. We ask too that no unauthorized recording take place, and again, if you could, please silence your cell phones. I will now introduce the candidates for the May 20th special district election in alphabetical order for each office. For the Southwestern Oregon Community College District, position 2, Chris Castleman and Marcia Jensen. For Southwestern Oregon College Community District, position number 4, Richard Coleman and Jeremy Skinner. And for district position number 7 of the Southwestern Oregon Community College, it's a mouthful, Denisa Raines and Maria Seth. For the Harbor Rural Fire Protection District, position number 2, Mark St. James and Roger Thompson. And Wesley Faricelli could not attend tonight. For Harbor Rural Fire Protection District number position 5, we have Michael Mate. There was no response from David Lancaster. For Chetco Community Library District Director position number 1, we have Cora Rose. Jenny Graham chose not to attend. For Chetco Community Library District Director position number 2, Pat Piper. There was no response from Rochelle Parkinson. Now it's time for the candidates' introductions. As noted, they have drawn numbers to determine who speaks first. And Ms. Marcia Jensen, you have drawn number 1 from the Southwestern Oregon Community College District, position number 2.
I do number 2.
You did number 2? My bad. Let's go ahead and we're gonna go with Mr. Chris Castleman.
All right. I was number 1 on Monday, so I should have been prepared. I am Chris Castleman. I'm running for the Board of Education at Southwestern Oregon Community College. First of all, just appreciate everybody being here. Everybody in this audience and up here obviously cares an incredible amount about their community. So we're up here to sell ourselves to you on whether we're qualified to push that community in the right direction. And I don't like talking about myself, but Dinesh over tells me I have to get better at it. So out of college in Buffalo, New York, I went to college in Buffalo, New York. Right out of college, I started getting involved in the community. I got an entrepreneurial itch, and instead of paying a lawyer and an accountant to help me set up a business, I went to the local college and learned how to do it, and filed my own paperwork and did my own spreadsheets and things like that. But then I gave back by teaching others how to do it. I formed an organization called 7 Weeks Startup, and we met every Saturday for 7 weeks, and we had a 4-hour seminar, and I invited speakers that taught other people how to succeed at starting a business on a very scrappy budget. And that's just kind of who I am. I'm a doer. It's what I've done my whole life. I have strong convictions. I certainly talk the talk, but then I walk the walk. You know, if I read something about climate change and how things are affecting our environment, I don't just complain about it. I learn how to wire up solar panels, and I currently live off grid and teach other people how to do it. I homestead. I try and be nice to this world we live in. But anyway, so I don't like talking about myself. What got me involved, what brought me here today is when I moved to this area, I started getting involved in politics because it didn't seem like our leaders were listening. We weren't having the right conversations. I'd go to a city council meeting or a county commissioner meeting, and it was combative. And if you brought something up that was concerning to you, they didn't really seem to want to hear about it or help you solve it. And that was very foreign to me growing up on the East Coast. I don't know if it's a West Coast problem, but it just was very foreign to me. So I said, we got to do something about it, like I do with all the things that I get involved with. And so I started an organization called the Coos County Citizen Council. I live just outside of Coos Bay, and it's kind of similar to the League of Women Voters. We try and be as nonpartisan as we can. We're human, but we put together events, and we have a Wednesday live stream, and we try and get people more engaged with their local government, more educated on things. I attend as many budget committee meetings as I can, even if I don't live in that town, so that I can properly educate people on what's going on in the community. So that's me. That's what I'm gonna bring to Southwestern Oregon Community College. I'm sure at some point I can get into specifically why I'm here about the college, but I wanna give back, and I think the college is one of the ways I can do it. So.
Thank you, Mr. Castleman. Ms. Jensen.
Okay, we'll test that. Good evening. Thank you again to the League of Women Voters for hosting us this evening, and to our fellow candidates, greetings. My name is Marcia Jensen. I'm a lifelong resident of Coos County. My family has been in business in Coos County for well over 100 years in various businesses. My background is in business and accounting, hospitality industry, restaurants, and I ran a flower shop for a brief period of time. My husband and I ran a garbage company, still Coos Bay Sanitary Service in Coos Bay. Our son is operating it currently. I live on a small acreage. I've always had horses. I am a past rodeo queen, and a longtime 4-H member. My time at the college has been long, and I've learned a great deal. I'm what's referred to as a legacy board member. I've served 25 years on Southwestern's Board of Education, and I've also served for 15 years on the Oregon Community College Association at the state level, past president of that organization, and that had given me an opportunity to work with colleges across the state, of which there are 17. I've done board training, policy instruction, and financial advising. Most people don't really understand that the Board of Education is not, for a community college, is not a K through 12 board. We don't set programs, we don't define the curriculum. It's based on what our academic officers choose to do and the number of students that we have. Primarily, the Board of Education's roles are setting policies, hiring their only employee, the president, and protecting the fiduciary assets of the organization, which includes the money piece, but it also includes protecting all the people and all the assets of the college. My background is in business and accounting. I worked for 25 years for L.C. Richter, CPA, and Coos Bay, and occasionally have gone to work for my clients. I was initially recruited to the college to run the business office. Did not want to do that, so I was recruited to apply for a position at the board. And over those years, we've had significant successes. Southwestern is recognized as one of the 2 top community colleges in Oregon, or in the United States currently. My name again is Marcia Jensen, legacy board member, lifelong resident, asking for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jensen. Next, for Southwestern Oregon Community College District Position Number 4, Mr. Jeremy Skinner, please.
I'm Jeremy Skinner. I grew up in Gold Beach, graduated from Gold Beach High School, and left. And I was very fortunate. I graduated. There were 70 students in my graduating class. I think there's now like 30. And if you know anything about the Oregon funding formula, I had more teachers than they have now, which helped me out quite a bit. And the community helped, local scholarships helped get me to college. My wife and I decided to move back. We wanted to be closer to family, but also felt like we could see what was happening in the community, and moving back was a part of our plan, actually, to give back. And that's been, and I was lucky. I was a college librarian, and I lucked into being a public librarian. That was the only way I could make it work, given my work history, really. But I enjoy that a lot. We'll talk about that later. But really thinking about why I'm here and why I'm interested in the community college board, it's that so many of our youth cannot go to four-year college, even if they happen to have the qualifications to do that. It's just outrageously expensive. The community college is an incredibly important asset to us. It does a number of things. It allows the students who are geared towards four-year school to be able to afford that, at least more affordable. They can do their 2 years and go on. Some of them can do even some of that four-year work remotely while here. So, and for us on the Curry campus, we have students who can live at home, can do their coursework at the college here or online, and really be in a position where they're not coming out with a ton of debt. So that's very important. But in addition to that, the training programs that we offer is incredibly important to allowing employers to find employees. So SWOCC isn't just serving the students, but ideally it's helping the business community with making sure we have a trained workforce. So I guess really a part of my give back has really been trying to make sure that we have pathways for kids to be able to stay in the community and afford to live here, because honestly, if you grow up here, I think it's a great place to live. We just need to make sure that our kids have opportunities to be here. So I have experience, and I've been on this board for a year now. I know how to read budgets, and I'm enjoying my role. So I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Skinner. Mr. Richard Coleman.
Hi, my name is Richard Coleman. I too am well, not Curry County resident, but Coos County. I grew up in North Bend and Lakeside. Graduated high school in North Bend, entered the Army after that, and I've done several different jobs, but mostly been a mechanic. I did work in the mills some. Mills shut down, so you kind of have to change careers. Anyway, I became a mechanic. I've been doing that work for about 35 years. That's what I did in the Army. I went to Lane Community College, got a associate degree in diesel tech. And I did have a chance to give back there for a couple years. I taught in the diesel program, and then I was able to move back home to North Bend. And now I have an opportunity and would like to give back to my community, and getting on the school board here is a chance to do that. I'm hoping I can bring some more change to the school. I think we need to get a little more geared toward trades. Most of the communities here on the coast, that's what we need. There's not a lot of opportunity for people to be the boss. You can only have so many bosses. So that's where community colleges come in and fill that role. Anyway, thank you, and I hope you can vote for me.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Southwestern Oregon Community College District Position Number 7, Ms. Maria Sedeth.
Hello, I'm Maria Sedeth. Thank you for coming tonight. It's wonderful to be here in my own community of Brookings. I love living here, and I know many of you, but you might not know my back history. I was a teacher's aide. Back when I was 28, I worked in a little school district, Cottonwood School District in Shasta County. I was encouraged to go to school and become a teacher. And this is why I love community colleges so much. I was scared to death. I was 32 when I went to Shasta College, and they told me I had to take all these prerequisites to even start taking classes towards my goal of becoming a teacher. I met with an English professor. He interviewed me. I told him I was scared. I was returning to college, and I didn't think I'd ever get through all these prereqs to get to where I could really take the classes that I need. He said, you know what, I'm taking a chance on you. This is a composition class, let's just see how you do. I went home, typed my first paper on a Brother typewriter, if any of you remember those. We thought it was so cool. It had this little word processing screen on it. I thought, ooh, I don't have to use the white ink stuff. And from there, it was all good. The classes were small, just like they are at SWOCC here, where you have a great ratio of students to teacher who really care about the students. I went on from there and taught in elementary for 10 years, at Chetco State for another 10 years, and then I worked for a nonprofit, National Urban Alliance, that works with high poverty schools, and the mission of that program was all children are gifted and all children can reach their full potential with people who believe in them, and that's what I see at our college. All of our children are gifted. They're not children. All of our students are gifted, and my favorite thing about being on the college board is graduation. There we have the welders walking across the stage with all their welder gear and their helmets, and the ones graduating to be firefighters or be in the, out as forest firefighters. We have the nurses with their stethoscopes coming across the stage, and kids getting their GED, walking across the stage, all the different, and the other thing was at Curry, last year I was able to give out certificates for the pre-apprenticeship program, which was awesome. They learned how to do heavy equipment on simulators that we were able to procure through grants. We have amazing grant writers at our college, and they now can have a leg up into apprenticeship programs in trades. And next year we're starting a diesel mechanic program. And so lots of good stuff going on at that college. I'm very proud to serve on that board, and I would like to continue to serve on that board, and I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Sedeth. Ms. Vanessa Rains.
Again, thank you for the League of Women's Voters for having this forum. It's always good to get out there and try to get into government and make a difference. And a lot of us are new to this. Some of us have already campaigned before, and this is my second or third time I've campaigned, but I have a real passion for learning, and I grew up in I'm an Oregonian. I grew up in North Bend. I went to North Bend High School, 84. And I remember I got a really good education there. There was lots of things to do, like geology and marine biology, and I was just talking to Rick here, there was mechanics, and there was a lot of things, and they've taken a lot of that out of the budget, out of the high schools. There's not as many electives, and that's why I think it's really important that we, in our community, we need to focus on the workforce. And my background, and I've been blessed beyond means, is I've have a degree in management and finance. I graduated from the University of Oregon. I actually went to SWOCC for a couple quarters, so I got exposure to that. Then I've done marketing for Roseburg Forest Products. I was the only woman out of 65 men, sold particle board, plywood. I did glue checks, and I did all sorts of quality control stuff. So if you can't do what other people, if you're a boss and you can't do those jobs, you shouldn't be a boss. And so now I sold chemicals for several years with my family's business. We're a big advocate for family support of Riverview, Kingsview, OSU, Portland State, University of Oregon, SWOCC, the Boys Scouts, 4-H. We've been involved with all that and helping kids get scholarships for that. And I just feel I gotta follow these kids and see and making sure they're getting their money's worth. And it's my time to give back. And I've been fortunate enough that with a lot of different businesses in hospitality, ranching, construction, management, I've done a lot of different things. And it's because I've had all this exposure, I think I can be a big asset to this board, and I hope you vote for me. Things are evolving quickly, and if small businesses aren't getting some extra support on how to evolve with AI and the different ways to advertise, I would like to help with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Raines. Next, Harbor Rural Fire Protection District position number 2, Mr. Mark St. James.
I'm Mark St. James. Background-wise, I'm currently a registered nurse focusing on emergency and trauma. I was a Navy Marine Corpsman and nominated Sailor of the Year my first year. I went on and got my master's degree with OSU and an honorary ethnobotanist degree with Duke. I live in the Harbor District for 23 years. I'm very active in the local area, a lot of people know. My board experience has been since high school, president or vice president on various boards. My most recent board experience was president of the largest homeowners association in Brookings, where I went in and cleaned up the corruption there, saved a ton of money, and saved the dues down. Also was voted on as Harbor Fire Board 2 years ago, and asked to get on the Harbor Fire Board to expose a lot of corruption there. Reason to get on this board is to work on tabled issues. The Harbor Fire Board has tabled issues for over 1.5 years. And if I was hired, first issue would be hiring a chief who would be able to hire their own firefighters and volunteers, run the office, and organize committees. The chief and the committees would be responsible and back to the board. I'd also replace the current board keeper who is charging us $500 to $800 a month. I'd also update the outdated bylaws. I'd revisit the outdated COVID days of Zoom meetings. No other local county or board members or commissioners or councilmen attend by Zoom. They all attend in person, as should be. And I'd also work with the Brookings Fire Department, the Winchuck Fire Department, and the Harbor Water Board. but I'd also make sure that neither one of those districts took over our Harbor Fire District. If I get voted on and we had a board majority on the same page, we'd be dealing with these issues. No more single board member who has been solely making decisions without any board votes and running the office. Also, no more than 2 firefighters on the board, which is in our bylaws. It's a conflict of interest, and my focus would be transparency, safety, and accountability, and increasing our fire rating from a 3 to a 2. The lower the number, the better rating for our insurances. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. St. James. Mr. Roger Thompson.
I'm Roger Thompson. I've been in the Harbor Fire District for probably 40 years in my life, within a mile of both the original fire station and what it is now. I graduated from Brookings Harbor High. In the early 60s, I got asked by the government to go spend 12 months in Southeast Asia on their expenses. And I came home, went to college. I graduated from Oregon State with this business degree in minor in forest products. My dad owned a sawmill one time on Lower Harbor Road. I went into the sawmill business. I moved up in management quite rapidly. The 2 companies you could recognize as Boise Cascade and our Roseburg Forest Products. I managed for Kenneth down in Anderson, California for a while. And I came home at 95, to help work with a family. We owned Driftwood RV and quite a bit of other land. And at that time, I became very active in the community. I spent 9 years on the Chamber of Commerce, 6 years as treasurer of the Chamber. I've also was on many other boards. I was a city councilman. I was appointed to city council. I moved over to Brookings. I was also a port commissioner. So I've been around a lot. I was asked to come on to apply for a position on the Harbor Fire Board because it was a total disaster of people quitting and leaving. There was 3 of us got appointed one night because there was only 2 left. And so my background in business, negotiations, and stuff will help get it back to where it belongs today. It is in total disarray, not by the board that's there now, but the previous boards. So it needs to be put back together the best way it can be, and I think we have a board, if it stays what it is today, will work fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Gentlemen, my name is Michael Mate. I'm running for the Harbor Fire Board, position number 5. I've been in Harbor for approximately 5 years now. I moved up here to join Harbor Fire Department because I was recruited by a former fire chief. My background, I am a retired paramedic firefighter. I started my career in Texas as a professional firefighter. There is nothing wrong with being a volunteer. Throughout our great country, we are losing firefighters. Fire departments are closing down every day. Today alone, on the news, 4 fire departments abandoned their community. There are 4 communities out there without fire departments throughout the United States. On the fire department, it's not a job all of us can do. How many of you are willing to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, put your clothes on, when it's pouring down rain in Oregon, run to that fire station, jump on the fire truck to help someone who's in need? We need to take care of our volunteers and the few paid firefighters we have. With my background on the fire department, I started as a firefighter. I was given the opportunity to become a paramedic. Working my way up in the ranks, I became an engineer. An engineer is someone who drives that truck and runs the pumps for the firefighters. I became a captain. I was a chief for a fire department. I feel with my experiences, my background, I have the knowledge, the know-how, what is needed on our board to help rebuild Harbor Fire. When we pick that phone up and dial 911 in the event of an emergency, we pray someone's coming. As the two gentlemen here have both said, there's a lot of serious problems here at Harbor Fire. We need to fix Harbor Fire. And I feel with my knowledge, my experience, my backgrounds that I have, I can help on this board. I can help the firefighters. We need to retain and recruit our firefighters. With that, I am asking for your vote for position number 5. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Next, Chetco Community Library District position number 1, we have Ms. Cora Rose.
Here, this is better cards,
You gotta turn that one on. Turn it on.
The middle of the bar at the top.
I think I should use this one.
So each of them are partnered with another one.
You have to leave them all on. Leave them all on.
Oh, lead everybody on.
Yeah, now try. There you go.
Okay. Great, thank you. I've been told I have a little voice, so I want to make sure you can hear me. Hi, my name is Cora Rose. I'm the incumbent in position 1 at the Chetco Community Public Library. I was appointed to this position in January to fill a vacancy, and I'm asking for your vote this coming month so that I can serve a full term on the library board. I love our library. I think that the Chetco Community Public Library is an absolute gem of the South Coast and has been since it opened over 30 years ago. I was here when it opened 30 years ago as a kid and have been proud of it ever since. I have brought home stacks of books. I directly credit this library with providing me with kind of the supplemental educational opportunities that I needed so that I could go on, pursue advanced education, get professional skills, and move back home to serve the community. And it's my pleasure and my joy to be able to serve our community through this public library board. I have a statement of my qualifications in the back table, and I promise not to read it to you, but you have to promise to pick it up, okay? So we've got a deal, and I won't read it to you as long as you get it. I was raised in Brookings, as you know. I was valedictorian of the high school. I was named the biggest nerd and the biggest bookworm in the school, and so it's just like perfect that now I'm coming back full circle and getting to serve the library that I love so much. Finally, I can wear that badge of bookworm with pride, right? And but something that you may not know about me is that I'm also an attorney. I'm a member of the Oregon State Bar, the California State Bar, and I am able to use my experience that I've gained through both my education and my work directly on the board. So, for example, the library board is responsible for the library's visioning and planning. We oversee the budget process, which is going to be happening next month, come May 6th at 10 a.m. for our budget hearing. We are required to make sure that we meet the state requirements for audits, for bids and hiring, and we're responsible for ensuring that the building itself is maintained and the property of the special district is adequately stewarded for the community's use. And as an attorney, I'm not afraid of small print. I'm not afraid of reading statutes. I love to read stacks of papers, right? I'm happy to interpret contracts. I'm not intimidated by looking through budgets and reading lots of numbers. Actually, I'll probably embarrass her, but my mom's here and she was a math teacher at the middle school and the high school, so I've been around numbers my whole life. Something that's relevant in terms of the fact that the special districts, all of the special districts you see here are forms of local government, is that I have experience on boards that handle large budgets. One of the boards I'm a member of has a ministry budget of $900,000, and the Del Norte Mission Possible board, on which I serve, has a budget of $2.8 million.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Next, we have Ms. Pat Piper for Chetco Community Library District position number 2.
I hope the Bible's right. It says, and the last shall be first. Okay, so I'm Pat Piper, and I've been around here for over 30 years. And at all that time, I was a volunteer for the library. I've been on the board of directors for a little over 20 years and am currently the chair. Throughout the United States, there's a push to change our libraries. They don't want certain books at the library, they don't want certain people in the meeting room, and we're taking the exact opposite stand. We want our library to be there and be free for every single solitary person, regardless of whether we agree with them or not. I mean, we have the League of Women Voters here today. Last week we had the Republicans. Who knows, next week it'll be the Democrats. This library is the most wonderful building in all of Brookings. I absolutely love it. But I want to talk a little bit, and I've written it down so I don't screw this up. We made a decision years ago to keep helpful informational books designed for parents looking for answers to questions that their kids are asking. We've taken these 6 or 7 books and put them in the children's section. I've had so many parents say to me, that was a perfect spot. My kid had a question about bedwetting, and I went right down there and got the book, answered it, and we moved on. It's not, and these books are, by the way, recommended by Good Housekeeping, by Parents Magazine, by Scholastic. I mean, they're not porno books, which is what's been passed around now. You know, if you really believe in that stuff, go take a look at the books yourself. They're books that a parent can use when a child has a question. And let me tell you, it would have been easier for the whole board if we had just said, yeah, let's move them to another location. We decided to not do that. We decided to do it so it's there when it needs to be there. And if a kid picks up that book, because a kid can't be in the kids section by themselves, they have to be there with an older person. The older person says, no, go look at those 2,000 books that are gorgeous and colorful. So please, if you want to keep our library the way it is and keep our board as strong as it is, please vote for me and vote for Cora. Just a quick thing about me, for those of you that don't know me, I'm a principal real estate broker, twice president of the board, twice Realtor of the Year. I'm the only one with a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'm a member of the Marine Corps League Board. I do their newsletter. I'm on the Southern Coast Board. I'm tired.
Ms. Piper, hold on to that microphone. You help me figure out where to start. This question is going to be for all candidates, and we're going to start with you, Ms. Piper. What do you believe is the most pressing issue of the election, and how do you plan to address it? Just like it reads.
I think I've already talked about that. The most pressing thing is that we keep our library safe for everybody. We don't ban books or burn books or move books. We try to keep the library active and vital for everybody in the community.
Ms. Rosen.
Thank you. I believe the most pressing issue facing the Chetco Community Public Library Board with this election is whether or not we want to keep the institutional knowledge, the skills, and the relationships that exist on this board that have done a fantastic job creating this beautiful building and all of the programming, hiring our wonderful library director, or if we're willing to take a risk on people who are untested. I believe that the current board, and that includes Pat Piper, who I'm so honored to sit next to. She's been volunteering for the library since I was in Story Hour.
In kindergarten.
I think it's so valuable that we've been able to keep her institutional knowledge, her expertise and leadership that has in a nonpartisan, collegial fashion, weathered so many storms, from the COVID pandemic and shutdown to roof leaking to the move, from the original library site over to this library site. It's important that we can keep that as part of the library board, and that we keep all of the training and the onboarding that I've done since January, that I'm able to hit the ground running. We're starting our budget process next month, as I mentioned, and then we'll be implementing our strategic plan, and I hope to be able to speak about that more in a moment. And I'm ready to keep going. I'm already there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Mr. Kesselman. Question is, what do you believe is the most pressing issue of the election, and how do you plan to address it?
So the major difference voting for me versus my opponent, the thing that I would bring to the next 4 years at SWOCC is culture. We're experiencing a culture crisis at the college. I've put myself out there in the community as someone who investigates problems, that is somebody who will listen and get to the bottom of things. And through that, people came forward to me with an issue at the community college that the director of the GED program is a prior sex offender. He was convicted and sent to prison for molesting 2 of his students when he was teaching in Eugene. And not only did that incident occur, but people came forward to me with incidences that happened at SWOCC. Real incidents that my opponent will not acknowledge. They put out a 2-page statement in response to me doing this investigation that said, in part, well, first of all, they believe in the power of second chances. I think he had his second and third and fourth chance, but they said that this individual has been employed since 2010 without issue. That's not true. I've spoken with young women at that campus who have been sexually assaulted. There have been, it's insane. There have been complaints filed and investigations done, and they have not been transparent about it.
Thank you. Ms. Jensen.
Thank you. I'm not going to respond to the dog whistle this evening. The things that are most important to me right now about this election are keeping my incumbent fellows on the board. In my 25 years of experience at Southwestern, this is the first time we've had 2 representatives from Curry County on the college district board, which is critical to me. The 3 of us incumbents have been endorsed and supported by the faculty union and the Senate and the classified unit and their union and their Senate. The Board of Education has 1 employee. The issue that Mr. Castleman has with the college is with the administration, not with board members. We are not responsible for hiring anyone but the president. The president has responded to him, offered him an interview, which he's refused. Thank you.
Ms. Sudduth. Do you need the question repeated?
So my other hat I wear in this community is that I'm a volunteer chaplain. I see housing insecurity and food insecurity as a #1 priority in our community. Community colleges, our community college, offers a leg up, offers many opportunities for better paying jobs. For example, some of our housing insecure, living in cars, work at senior citizen facilities. What if they could get their CNA? What if they could get their LVN? What if they could get into the nursing programs? We have strong scholarship support. We also work with Workforce in Brookings that offers financial assistance and support to many of our people that I serve in my role as chaplain. Go through WorkSource to look for work. They can get connected to Curry campus and get their GEDs if they need it, and get counseling to help them choose different pathways. We have all kinds of different certificate programs and we have, if they want to get into different workforce programs like the ones I've already previously mentioned, those are available for them. And for me, wearing a hat as a board member and also as a chaplain, I can be the conduit, the connector, and the encourager to help our people move forward and get housing secure, food secure, and better lives for their families. And so for me, that's the most important issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sudduth. Ms. Raines.
All right. if I remember right, the pressing issues in this election. What I see the pressing issues are basically we need to meet the demand and supply of the workforce in our community. We need to be putting out a good product. Right now, we're struggling with what's coming through the pike with a lot of kids that went through COVID and basement schools. Right now, Oregon's at the bottom of the heap, and those kids that are coming either through the GED program or coming from the high school level into SWOCC where they can have some affordable education. I just feel that that's the biggest thing is getting the assessments done, getting the tutor done to get their math and their reading up to level and their science. We have to put out a good product. Why pay for something if you don't have a good product and the employers don't respect that you have good products? So we have to probably have a forum with businesses that are here that are looking for employees. What do they want? Do they need drivers? Do they need carpenters? Do they need mechanics? What do they need so that we don't just give them a whole bunch of nurses if there's not a demand? If there's a demand, yes, go, make sure the kids know that that's where you're going to find jobs. Let's not create any false illusions where you're going to get a job after you go to school.
Mr. Richard Coleman, you need the question repeated?
Please.
What do you believe is the most pressing issue of the election, and how do you plan to address it?
For me, I said in my opening statement, I'm a tradesman, so getting some more training in the trades is paramount to all these communities up and down the coast. Like I said before, there's not a lot of white collar opportunity here on the coast. More of us are going to be blue collar type workers like myself. And along with that, I had an experience when I was teaching college before. We weren't allowed to grade on attendance. So not only is it important that we teach these kids some trades, we need to teach them to show up to school or show up to work on time every day. You don't get paid when you're not there. When I worked at Lane, we weren't allowed to grade them on attendance. Kind of a sad thing if you ask me. Anyway, that's...
Thank you very much, Mr. Coleman. Mr. Jeremy Skinner.
I think I'd like to start with a question. How many people in this room know somebody that attended the community college, Southwestern? Okay. So we in Curry County pay tax dollars for the community college, and we have an amazing campus here. My issue, within the scope of what I can do as a board member, is make sure that when we're planning and we're hearing feedback at the board level that the Curry campus is considered seriously. There's some development that needs to happen on the Curry campus in addition to what's there right now. And I just want to see that happen in the way that's most effective for Curry. It's a different place than Coos. In fact, I've talked with Jill, the dean here at Curry, and we know that the age demographics are a little bit different than Coos. We also know that the industry is a little bit different than Coos, and it really definitely deserves our attention to make sure that it all matches. So,
thank you, Mr. Skinner. Mr. Mark St. James.
As I talked about, the most pressing issue is the previous and last board tabling items for over a year and a half that we are without fire chief. And when we lost our interim fire chief, we had by law 72 hours to get an interim fire chief or hire a real chief. We're way past that. That's why I talk about getting on the board again and dealing with these undealt issues. As we all three agree, it's a mess.
Thank you, Mr. Roger Thompson, please.
Well, I came on the board about 3 months ago, was appointed. It was the previous board at one time made some major mistakes on hiring people. I don't know what to talk about, the 72 hours. We've had some work done for a new policy manual. We're moving through it. One of the biggest mistakes, they try to get somebody from a big fire department or a little rural fire department in Harbor, Oregon. We don't need what you had in Los Angeles or another big city. We need to get down to where we were back when it was a small rural fire department. The finances are in bad shape. We're going to start working on a budget. They've been overspending their budget for years. There was no maintenance done like it was supposed to by the previous fire chief. The fire chief that did resign was over a personal problem from one Chuck. And we'll start actually looking after having some work done by the special districts on what we need to look for and the things we're working on. So we've been working hard with special districts trying to bring this thing back around. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Michael
Could you repeat the question again, please?
Yes, what do you believe is the most pressing issue of the election and how do you plan to address it?
The most pressing issue for Harbor Fire Department is we've been approximately 2 years without a fire chief. How many of you are in private business or work for companies and you don't have a CEO? You don't have management. You don't have anything. We can't move forward. All we can do is move backwards. Without a fire chief, we cannot apply for grants. We cannot apply for loans through the state, through private agencies. If I'm elected to the board has 2 responsibilities. Number 1, the fire chief and only the fire chief. He is our only employee. Number 2, we're to make sure the fire chief is not wastefully spending our tax money. He is following the budget, and the board is following all local, county, state, federal regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bontein. Next question is for the Southwestern Oregon Community College Board. Question is, do you have a vision for the Curry campus, expanding class offerings? If yes, what kinds of classes? And Mr. Skinner, can we start with you?
We have a really good team that has vision. I hesitate to answer this question because it's really not my role. But Jill, is it all right if I tell some things that we've talked about? All right. I think that, first of all, with our demographics the way they are, we do need to figure out how to connect to people who are not traditional students, who are older, who are looking for a one-off class in art, who are looking for a one-off class in cooking. So there are some things, and unfortunately those are tricky because those don't work to bring us the same kind of state revenue that we need to run everything. So, but that being said, we really do need to connect a little bit more with our older community. In addition to that, I think that tourism and hospitality is a big thing for us, and we can do it better. There are a lot of assets that we do not have in place in Curry to capitalize on that, and I think that's one area where we are not necessarily doing where we haven't responded to the need in the industry here. There's a lot of other opportunities, but those are just a couple that I've had right now. So,
thank you, Mr. Skinner. Ms. Senneth.
I think one of the big issues that I've seen since starting on the board and for Curry County is visibility and stronger communication. A couple of years ago, we had something was like a round robin where we put up posters all around the room. Well, the administration, the college came and put posters all around the room to get feedback directly from businesses and members of our community to see what would you like to see happen at Curry. And I have to say I'm very proud of the College for hiring Jill DeVelde. She has done incredible outreach to this community and going and talking to businesses and Rotary, being on the Rotary and doing the groundwork necessary to move us to the next steps. And I agree with Jeremy, the next steps are what fits exactly with Curry community. What do we need with our older demographics, but also our kids out of high school. I mean, stronger and more having the kids come to the campus. Jill had this senior prom here, and I thought that was perfect. Get them on the campus and see what we have so that we don't lose them. Community college education where they can be on campus saves them a lot of money, and it also encourages them to come back to their own community, because that's the other thing. Our kids fly. I heard the term salmon. They're salmon runners. You know, we want them to return to their own community. We don't want them to leave and not come back. So that's what I would see as a vision.
Thank you very much. Ms. Jensen, please.
Well, I have some really good news for you. I sit on the Master Facilities Planning Committee at the college that we review annually and update. And one of those things that is in the 10-year plan, and actually this building is on a 5-year plan, to build a career technical building adjacent to the current building on the campus. We're working with the state right now to secure funding. The state only will give us capital money for half of whatever the value of the building is. And then we have to go out into the community and raise the rest of it to make that happen. And that's because the building belongs to us, not to the state. So career technical work, electrical engineering, diesel mechanics, carpenters, welders. Let's see, what else do we have on the horizon besides firefighters? There are several things that are in the works right now, planning for more workforce development in Curry County. And I want to thank Jill too for making that connection and keeping us in touch with businesses here, because you help us find those people so that we can create those programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kesselman.
I would love the opportunity to help support the vision in Curry County. And what I would add to that as one of 7 board members is the boots on the ground. I love talking with people. If I could talk with every single one of you in this room about all the vision you have for your community, your pain points, what you think's working, what isn't working, that would be a wonderful opportunity. I love digesting that information. I'm a software engineer, and I consulted for a bunch of different companies, and that's kind of what they would bring me in to do, to consult with them, figure out, we do the start, stop, and continue. What do we need to stop doing? What do we need to start doing? And what's working that we should continue doing? And that's kind of what I would bring, gather the information to support the continuing vision and maybe adjust it if needed.
Mr. Coleman.
Like Mr. Castleman, I would like to see the vision furthered here. It'd be a lot nicer for residents of this community to not have to travel to Coos Bay for education for some of the classes that currently may not be offered here. It'd be nice to see more offered down here, so save money by not having to travel. I will get out in the community and talk to people. You gotta, if you're trying to market something to somebody, you need to find out what they want. And that's kind of what community colleges should be doing, is checking their communities and what do they want out of that community college. So I will get out and talk to people and try to further the vision.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Ms. Raines?
Well, I get to be the last here, so I get to pick from all this. I think a good vision for Curry, I don't live here, but I think it's a good vision for Curry and Coos, is that we lost a lot of small businesses, and the stuff that Mr. Castleman was saying, and my background in starting a lot of different businesses from scratch, I think we need to help with small business startups. A 7-day class on how to start up a business. A lot of people are a little fearful of starting their own business, and The other one is technology evolution. There's a lot of stuff. As I'm a business person and I don't have time a lot of time. If I can take some small classes on how to make things easier, like just writing things and documenting things as a business, like AI, I would love to have that kind of a class. I also heard there's a big need in Curry County for dental hygienists. I hear that's really hard to get in. Well, we need to look into that because everyone needs their teeth cleaned every 6 months. So maybe we should start doing a dental hygienist program. And the last thing is online classes. We're all doing things without having to drive now. We're doing Zoom and Teams, where it's more cost effective for people for their education is to listen to the professor, maybe go to labs at a certain location, but at least get some of this education done remotely. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is going to be for Harbor Rural Fire Protection. The question is your primary residence in the district? And Mr. St. James, can we start with you?
Good question. Yes, I live in Harbor for, as I said, 20, is it on? Yes, it's on.
Someone else's is off.
Maybe try now.
Yeah, as I said, I live in Harbor, thank you, for 23 years and am very active in the community. So, and on the form SL 190, my address is listed on there as Harbor. I understand that there is one person that I'm running against that lists their address not in the Harbor.
Mr. Malty.
Yes, I am a resident of Harbor. I've lived in the community for 5 years now. When I did fill out my application to run for this position, the county clerk verified my address, so I am a resident of Harbor.
And Mr. Thompson.
I live about a mile down the road from the Harbor Fire District. I've lived inside the Harbor Fire District probably 35 years of my life. I've moved to Brookings for a few years, but I've been there all my life, and I'm close. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Next question is for the Chetco Library. There it goes right through there. How long have you had your Chetco Library card? And what makes you passionate about our library? Cora.
Someone turned their microphone on.
That's me every time.
Bill, we're gonna be watching you. I've had my Chetco Community Library card since I was a young child. I'm not gonna give a year because I don't necessarily want to share my age. But it was, I'll just say it was when we were still using the paper card catalog and writing our library number in the little book papers. And you could see whether or not a family member or a good friend of yours had checked out the book previously and asked them about it if you knew their number. What was this? I'm sorry, I was so distracted by that microphone off. What was the second half of the question?
What makes you passionate about the library?
Oh, I'm passionate about the library because like I mentioned, I think it's an example of hyper-local government, hyper-local democracy done right. This is a library that's providing more than its minimum requirements under Oregon state law. It's creating value for the entire community. We have people who come from Smith River and Crescent City to use our library. We have snowbirds who pay for a library card to use our library. We recently received a bequest from a woman who was a retired teacher who didn't live here, but in her will left us over $100,000 to support the library, and I think that speaks wonderfully. It's a place where realtors and community members alike bring newcomers or visitors to come see the samurai sword and learn about local history, and it's just a space that's used for the public in a way just like this. We just installed, as of last night, a new streaming audiovisual system that we'll be able to use for public meetings hopefully next month. So it's a gem.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Ms. Piper.
Well, I know I've had my card longer than you. I don't think I've shared this with many people, but when I first was appointed to the board, I had volunteered to shelve books, and I came in ready for that. And I was told that almost any new person that came in to get a library card said, Pat Piper was my realtor and she made me go to the library first. So that's how I was kind of smuggled in to belong. I think this library is just the best place in town by far. And I am a book collector myself. I collect science fiction books. I've got 3,000 of them. Eventually my house is going to collapse. And I'm always getting books to donate to the library because I sell real estate, and often when people move, they don't want to take their books with them, and it's my pleasure. One of the things I love about the library is being a member of the Friends of the Library, and they're going to be having a book sale at the end of the month, and I hope all of you will show up. This is a wonderful meeting place, a wonderful place. Now that I'm getting older, I'm not reading as much, I'm listening to audiobooks. I mean, this library is just terrific.
Thank you, Ms. Piper. Next question is going to be for all candidates. Did you like math? Can you tell us about any budgets you've managed? And next, have you worked with grants and grant reporting? If so, can you share about that experience? Mr. Michael Malty, can we start with you?
Yes.
Mike.
Sure. I guess I'm like everyone else growing up in high school. I hated math. I was that person who wanted to learn a trade. My father is a civil and structural engineer, so he taught me quite a bit. And yes, there's a lot of math in engineering. In the career of firefighting, there's also a lot of math, whether people realize it or not. Learning pressures, volumes, and all of that. Dealing with grants, grant writing, and that. I've worked at departments where I've had to help write grants, go after grants, and as far as a fire department, grants are very important. They keep us afloat. What else was in the question, please?
Next part was, besides grants, can you share with us about your grant experience and any budgets that you managed?
Budgeting, when I was a fire chief in Arizona, I had to do the department's budget. Also, I was the chief operating officer for an ambulance company in Nevada, where I was responsible for doing that budget. I know the importance of a budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malty. Mr. Roger Thompson.
Would you please repeat the question?
Sure can, Mr. Thompson. Did you like math? Can you tell us about any budgets you managed? And have you worked with grants and grant reporting? If so, can you share about that experience?
I have not worked with grants. I'm very good at math. I'm very good at running a spreadsheet and very quick with a calculator. I'm pretty damn good with my head. So no, I haven't ever worked with grants. But I do math very well. And as a board member, it's not my job to write grants. It's somebody else's chief's job to write grants, or somebody else. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. St. James?
Yes, as math, I loved it so much I was able to challenge out of math my first year in college. As a nurse, math is life important. Calculations based on a patient's weight or infant have to be double checked manually by another nurse. It's our license if we screw up on somebody's life. As for budget, I did have my own company, first aid and CPR. I budgeted and ran my own company. And also, I ran the budget for the biggest homeowners association in Brookings, Clarion Glen Association, up on 5th Street. As for grants, we do have local grant writers here. It is not the board's job, it is the chief's. Or our last office secretary went and learned how to write the grant that we got for Harbor Fire. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. St. James. Miss Danessa Rains. Do you need the question again, Mr. Rains?
Go ahead.
Do you like math? And can you tell us about any budgets that you've managed? And have you worked with grants and grant reporting? If so, can you share about that experience?
I love math. I excelled at math. I have a management finance degree. Manage 4 businesses currently. I have operated them mainly on cash flow, but I have done reportings for loans and those things. I love to do spreadsheets. I'm really good at it. I like to make them pretty. So I also am the treasurer and secretary of the Fish Trap Drainage District right now, which is, there's tax money that comes into that and has to be managed properly and managed as far as the asset of the drainage. Grant writing. No, I haven't done that, but I can help make pretty presentations for it. Thank you.
Mr. Richard Coleman.
I have no grant writing experience. I've never been in a capacity to have to write a grant. Currently in my current job, I am the shop manager at the place I work. And I do help with the budget there. It's not my sole responsibility. The owner has his thumb on things pretty tightly around there. We are a small company, but I do answer to him with monies I spend out in the shop. So I manage what I spend out there pretty well. Besides that, I belong to a citizen patrol group in my neighborhood just north of North Bend, the Hauser area. And we have our own budget there. We collect do fundraisers and stuff for our operating costs. We are a nonprofit organization. Beyond that, that's where my experience is.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Mr. Kesselman.
Thank you to whoever wrote this question, because I love math. I minored in mathematics in college. I was actually going to be a math teacher, but then I fell in love with the opportunity that computers gave to the world. And I love budgets. I have analyzed pretty much every city budget in our county. I did a public records request for 20 years of our county budget. I analyzed it, I put graphs together and gave that information out to the public so they could better understand what we do with our tax dollars. In terms of grants, during COVID, I helped small business owners apply for some of the grants that were available, help them get their fair share and help them through a hard time. Grant reporting is part of that process, but you gotta, to report on the grants, you have to win the grant. And to win the grant, you need to gather data to show your need. You need to engage with the community so they can fight for that need. And that's kind of part of the grant writing process. I've also worked with businesses with defense contracts. That's a very difficult process. And yeah, I love data. I love math. That was an easy question.
Thank you, Mr. Kesselman. Mr. Skinner.
Well, as far as budgets go, I am the budget officer for Curry Public Library. I create that budget, monitor that budget, report on that budget to the library board. We have been audited. We're required to be audited every year. We've had a clean audit every year, so I can read a budget and create a budget. As for grants, that's actually where my strength is. I'm a better writer than I am a mathematician. I think I've probably brought in between $3 and $4 million in grants probably over the last 10 years. We were the only public library recipient of a 21st Century Community Learning Center grant that was about $1 million. So pretty good with grants. That being said, I don't really see that as my role on the SWOCC board. Just want to point that out. I do think, though, that when it comes to grants, I sit on the Oregon Community Foundation's Coast Leadership Council, and I have very strong relationships with grantors all over the region. And I do believe that that's an asset that I can bring to the college.
Thank you. Ms. Jensen.
I loved math in high school, loved it in college, worked in public accounting for 25 years. I can read a budget, I can read a balance sheet and a P&L. I've run several independent businesses and worked for several large companies in the Coos Bay area. And at one time I served as CFO for one of the largest trucking firms on the West Coast. That was many years ago. And my role at the community college, the budget is, we're required to abide by all state and federal laws regarding our budget. We do fund accounting. We have a monthly report. I love balance sheets. I can read them. And the college tracks very closely what we do. As far as grants are concerned, I was involved years ago, isn't pertinent to my work on the board. Don't know anything about grants, but when the college receives a grant, the board does have to approve it and add it to the budget in the appropriate place. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Smith.
So with math, I have a mixed relationship with that. I didn't ever have any problems with math in school, nor when I went to Shasta Community College. However, I see it as a gatekeeper for our students coming into community college. Again, not our college, but it will be a lot of times they spend years trying to get through the prereqs and trying to get through the math classes and they give up. Luckily, at our college, we have instituted something called co-recs. So now students can get right into their college courses and at the same time get the support, tutoring, whatever it takes they need so that they can stay on track, not get discouraged and drop out. As far as grants, I've written 2. When I taught at Chico State, I co-wrote a rural teacher residency grant, which was an internship where our student teachers stayed with a teacher, mentor teacher throughout the whole year. And they served in small rural high needs high schools. The other grant was a teacher support summer program where for science, and they worked with the professors and science teaching experts and teachers, especially new teachers and our student teachers. They come every summer for 6-week courses to learn how to better engage their children with science and to develop a love in science. So those were the 2 grants, and how that's important is we do approve grants resolutions as they come to us on the board, and that's it.
Thank you very much. Ms. Piper.
I'm an absolute total nerd. I used to work for the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, and I took special classes in Boolean algebra. So if any of you want to learn how to multiply and divide in hexadecimal, octal, or binary, I can bore the pants off you. I love math. And it's surprising because I was always like an English major, and I found out if you like grammar and that sort of thing, you're probably going to be good at math too. I've had my own business. I had a bookstore. I had a store with my husband and did budgeting and all. I've never written grants, but as you know, I've been on the board of directors for over 30 years and have been happy for every little one we've ever had.
And Ms. Rose.
Thank you. Yes, I love math. I started college as a math major and then ended up switching because I decided I wanted to study cross-cultural communication and local government law instead, but I stayed with that math department advisor for a long time just to stay in that world. I've been responsible for both local government grants and nonprofit grants throughout my career. And while I understand that the special district boards that you see here aren't responsible necessarily for writing or applying for grants, we are responsible for ensuring that they're spent and allocated within the parameters of the restrictions of the grant. And we have the ultimate responsibility for making sure that those are handled responsibly. I served on the board of trustees for the law library of Del Norte County, which is a small government entity similar to a lot of the special districts here in Oregon. I serve currently on the Finance and Audit Committee of the Deaconess Community of the Lutheran Church, overseeing $16 million in assets and an annual budget of $900,000. I write my own grants and I do my own grant tracking, so I'm very comfortable with spreadsheets and watching where the dollars and cents are going. But even if that's not part of your life experience, what I do know that everyone here can relate to is that how you spend your money, whether you're a business, a nonprofit, a government, a household, a church, is a reflection of your values and your priorities. So I hope you'll come to our budget meeting on the 6th at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Library candidates, question is, what books have you read in the last 6 months and why would you recommend them, Ms. Rose?
I'm laughing because I think I've read over 50 books in the last 6 months and I need to look at a list. So let me tell you about the book clubs I'm a part of instead, and that will help jog my memory of which ones I'd recommend. I'm part of Becca's book club at Chetco Brewing Company, and we just read The Secret Life of Bees. That was a new one for me because I haven't been reading a lot of fiction lately, and I found it very compelling. It came out and was a bestseller, I think, in 2004, so it might be old news to everyone here. I see a lot of faces nodding, but I found it very compelling. I'm also part of the Look Back book club here at the library. That's a book club for adults revisiting children classic literature. So we just finished reading Matilda, and before that we had Pippi Longstocking, and before that we read Secret Garden. And if you were a Secret Garden fan, there is a gorgeous botanically illustrated hard copy edition that you gotta get your hands on. In terms of books I would recommend right now, it just depends where you are in life, doesn't it? I like reading a lot of nonfiction, and I really enjoy all of the Douglas Tallamy books about how we can create the equivalent of a national park in our own backyards by converting our gardens into native plants that support pollinators and songbirds. So Bringing Nature Home and Nature's Best Hope are fantastic, and they have children and youth editions as well that I recommend.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Ms. Piper.
Well, I mainly read mysteries. I just finished Patterson book because he writes 10 of them every year. But I collect science fiction, old science fiction from the 50s and 60s, and I've decided I'm going to reread every book in my house. So last week I started on Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, which I haven't read in 50 years. And I'm thoroughly I had the pleasure of meeting him once, so it's a special place in my heart. But it's mainly trash. I mean, I love mysteries and I love science fiction. I read a lot of books that have to do with real estate because that's what I do for a living, and I am a principal broker and have all those numbers after my name. But basically trash. Thank you.
Library candidates, again, next question. What is your analysis of the proposed idea of a committee to evaluate all new books for the library? Having attended close to 100 committee and council meetings in Brookings over the last 10 years, this seems difficult since usually they struggle with 1 to 3 items. There must be hundreds of books each year. Ms. Piper.
Oh, I'm so glad I could go first. I thought this was the singularly dumbest idea I had ever heard, and I'm sorry if I'm hurting someone's feelings. When we hired Julie as the librarian, we didn't put an ad in the Brookings paper. We advertised all over the United States, and believe me, she was the pick of the litter.
Her mic is off.
It's on? Okay, yeah. You wanted me to say you were the pick of the litter
Say it again.
didn't you? See, I told you she was smart. We just talked about a book club. So I belong to a book club, and we sit around, half a dozen of us, and we spend about an hour deciding what book we're going to read next month. There were 4,900 books added to this library last year. I can see 5 or 6 people sitting around saying, gee, which one of the 4,900 and somebody should we pick? It's ludicrous. We have an excellent librarian, we have children's librarian, we have an assistant librarian. She listens to people, she gets ideas, she knows what books she ought to get, she reads about them. We have her there to do that. And she listens to, when I come in and say, I want a book about such and such, sometimes she listens, sometimes one of the Patterson books that I'm on the audiobook for, I'm number 137.
Ms. Rose.
Sure, thank you. Do you mind restating question?
Sure. What is your analysis of the proposed idea of a committee to evaluate all new books for the library? Having attended close to 100 committee meetings and council meetings in Brookings over the last 10 years, that seems difficult since usually they struggle with 1 to 3 items. There must be hundreds of books every year.
Thank you. And yes, what Pat said is that there were about 4,000 new physical book titles, but we added something in the realm of 15,000 new titles when you cover all of the types of materials, and that's not counting our ebooks. Our ebooks are actually a subscription to a service, a vendor, and that includes e-audiobooks. And by gaining access to the subscription, we have everything the vendor adds. So that's like over 1 million titles. There's no way that a committee is going to evaluate those, and there's not a way to turn those on or off, right? We're not opting into some or other books. We're just paying for a flat fee subscription. I'm hoping that Julie's not like twitching at me. Maybe it's not flat fee, but we have a subscription to the e and audiobooks. In terms of a committee evaluating every book, it's not tenable when we're looking at that high of a volume, right? So whether or not I think it's a good idea, I don't think it's administrable. And my twin goals, as you'll read in my statement, for all library business is to ensure that it complies with state law and public access, and that it's administrable for our staff, our volunteers, and the board. I also want to let you know, if you don't know already, there is a way online on the Chetco library website to suggest a title. So if you'd like to suggest a title, you can search for it in the catalog. If it doesn't come up, at the bottom there's a little link you click. You fill out the information of the publisher, the year, the author, as much information as you can provide to help them find what you're looking for, and they may actually purchase it for you.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Library candidates also again.
We're working tonight.
Popular.
You expressed dissatisfaction with book placement in the library. Can you explain why you have not taken advantage of the readily available reconsideration request? Ms. Rose.
I think that maybe this question was recycled from last week, so maybe someone brought their question back. I haven't expressed any dissatisfaction with book placement in the library. I have never used the reconsideration request because I've never felt the need to. If you aren't aware of the reconsideration process, though, you can find that on the Chetco Library website under About Us and Policies, and find all of the library policies and ask for reconsideration about where a book might be located, or about what titles you think are suitable for our library. My understanding is in the last few years that the library has received no challenges to any books through that challenge process. One.
A few years ago,
A few years ago, but I think in the last 2 years, no, none. In the last 2 years, there have been no challenges to the library. I'm sorry, I got a little assist there. I hope that's still playing by the rules. It's interesting to me that there'd be so much public conversation about challenging books in the library when no one has actually followed the process to do it. So someone earlier said that they talk the talk and walk the walk, and I like to see that consistency in people. While I would recommend more that you use the suggest a title feature, the challenge feature is also available. I think that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Ms. Piper.
Ditto. She did it so well that I can't see any use in my saying it over again. There is a process. You can use it. We do pay attention. Nobody has used it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is now time for each candidate's 2-minute closing statement. We're going to start with Southwestern Oregon Community College District position number 2. And in that, we'll start with Mr. Castleman.
Can we take Piper home with us? Can I cook? Sure. Appreciate you guys all being out here and listening to us. I read the room when I talked about the incident at the college, and I apologize that was uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable conversation, but that's part of the job, and that's why we're here. We need to listen to our students. I cannot imagine being a member of that board and not fighting for the safety of our students if that's what needs to be done, with every ounce of my being. That being said, I have a lot of other qualifications. I've done a lot in any community that I've ever been part of. I wouldn't be here. This is a volunteer job. I get nothing out of it. I love solving problems. It's what I do at work. It's what I do after work. It's what I dream about at night. I think about it all day long. And I'd love the opportunity to do that for the community here in Curry and Coos and a little bit of Douglas. And yeah, so if anybody has questions afterwards, I'd love to chat with anybody about anything. So that's what I'm about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Jensen.
I'd like you to rest assured that the college has the best interests of its students, its faculty, and its staff. The board does everything that it can do legally to protect those rights. Beyond that, the things that I think are most important at the college right now is that we are rated in the top 2 community colleges in the nation. That isn't done because we don't listen. It isn't done because we don't interface, and it isn't done because we don't meet students where they are. The board works very well together. We have the longest seated president in Oregon right now, and that includes all the universities. She brings a level of integrity to the college that is admirable and respected across the state. At this time, I think the most important thing to me is keeping our 2 Curry incumbents on the board. They bring a value that is necessary for all of you. It's been an honor to serve with them. And it's always fun to come down to Curry and interface with friends that I've known for years and meet several new ones today. So as we move into the future, rest assured that we are looking at every opportunity for career technical training. We are meeting our students where they are. We're increasing graduation rates. We're enrolling as many people as we can find. And we're working for the future for both the college and our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jensen. Mr. Jeremy Skinner.
I think that I've mostly said really my final statement in a number of different forms, but really I'm here just because it's a very important issue for me to make sure that our youth have opportunities and to get the proper education, proper trainings that they need, and to be able to stay in our community and be gainfully employed. And I hope that I've illustrated the fact that I do think outside of the box pretty extensively. As a librarian, I did not have training as a public librarian, and really the process that you've heard described here quite a bit about listening and trying to understand what the community needs are is really something that's kind of my strength. And what I've done in my own job is primarily try to figure out how to fill gaps to make sure, particularly when it relates to youth, that we're figuring out what the needs are within our community and ways that we can do that. So I've been successful at it, and I think that I know how to work with a board to be able to effectively look at policy, to look at the president and figure out how we can make sure that SWOCC is doing the work that it needs to do. And I have emphasized serving Curry residents, but a little bit of pandering to you probably, but I want to serve everybody, this entire region, and make sure that, that SWOCC is the best community college possible.
I neglected to say it was for position 4, Mr. Skinner. Sorry about that. Mr. Coleman, position 4, and your closing statement, please.
I want to thank all of you for coming out and listening to all of us and what we have to say. All of us are here because we are passionate about what we're trying to accomplish here. We do care about our communities and the people in them. So that being said, I hope I can get your vote.
Thank you very much, Mr. Coleman. Ms. Maria Seliff, position number 7 for the community college.
I also would like to thank everyone for coming out and hanging with us until 9 o'clock at night. I had someone tell me earlier, no, I'm sorry, I'm in my jammies by 8 o'clock. I can't quite make that. What I would like to say is that it's been an honor to be on this board the last 4 years. I didn't know what I didn't know when I started in this position. I was recruited by members of this community to run for the board 4 years ago because of my background in education. When I hit the ground running at that college and saw the stellar work that they do to support students, I was just amazed. I mean, I've always been a proponent of community colleges, but I was deeply impressed by how student-focused and dedicated the administration and the board is. And I want to stress that this is a non-political, non-partisan position. I can't even tell you the party affiliation of members of our board. We work together very closely. We're all dedicated to the students. And it's a testament that the 3 of us are here. And I think that you can see how closely aligned that we are. And it's all student focused. My goals for moving forward, I'm watching that, looking for that yellow sign. But my goals for moving forward is continue on building on the strong communication for the Tri-County. I've also worked with Jill quite a bit for Curry County. And I've also done the same in Coos, and that's where we are. And the main thing, communication. We have a example, the OCCI, the Oregon Community Culinary Institute, and that program, people don't know about it. And we're turning out fabulous chefs. If you ever get an opportunity to have any of that food, you should get that chance. But people don't know. I had a dinner with parents the other night. She said she had to really search to find us. So getting the word out about our 70-plus programs that we offer for students is important.
Ms. Vanessa Rains, please, for position number 7.
Thank you so much for having us here for this forum. Appreciate the League of Women Voters for doing this. This is the way to get the word out to people what these candidates run for. And I hope you vote for me. I come from the business side of things, and I think we need to have business people on the board to help represent our community and be in touch with the workforce. And so I want to create an education fever in this community. We need it really bad. We need to change the culture right now. And with all this evolution, I mean, I started on these typewriters like these ladies were talking about, and it has progressed so fast. And so I want to create the culture of learning to learn. So this is not just a one-time thing. This is something that you come back to this community college when there's new things to learn, new things about our resources here. And you know, we have a valuable asset here that needs to be nurtured, both in Coos and Curry County, on both beautiful campuses and beautiful place to live, is the retention of bright minds in our own community. I have kids in Texas right now because there's no jobs here, and we need to create small, I'd start somewhere. We got to create an industry here. So we have jobs. We lost a lot of industry here. So we have to put out a good product, and I want to be a part of that. I want to help be on the board to create those policies, and to be there to help make sure there's funding for it, and making sure that we have a president that is going to abide by the policies. And I have other people on that I think would be great assets, and they're all new people. And Chris Castleman has got a lot of background, and my friend here is such a trade person. So I want to make sure we got a good cross spectrum. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Raines. Next, Harbor Rural Fire Protection District position number 2, Mr. Mark St. James.
First, again, I thank everybody for sticking out to 2 hours and being interested in all our candidates. As an active RN and past corpsman, master gardener, ethnobotanist, I'm continuously giving back to the community. I go on medical missions. I taught the high schoolers gardening. I teach beekeeping. I teach foraging. It's all free giving back. I love teaching. But I'm a man of action, and my flyer's back there. If you get me back on the board, things will change and need to change quickly, and I'm a man of positive change. So I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. St. James. Mr. Roger Thompson.
I thank everybody for coming out tonight. The one thing I sort of don't hear very well sometimes, and budgets, I had $1 million a month budget at one time, so budgets I understand very well. The biggest decision that has to be made the next few months in Harbor Fire is hiring a new chief. I don't have to know anything about fighting a fire. I don't have to know anything about a fire truck. I have to know how to run management. A board's job is to set policy and make sure it's done right. It was a very sad situation that I found when they appointed me to the board. I could not believe it. So the new board is going to make a very large decision, and we have to make sure we find a person that fits in Curry County and Harbor, Oregon, and I don't care where they've been before, as long as they fit here. I've had a lot of experience in management. I've run big companies. I understand people very well, and I can see through your BS real quick and where you've been. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Michael Malty for position number 5 of the Harbor Rural Fire Protection District.
Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and I am asking for your vote to elect me to the board. How many of you think of your fire department every day? It's something that's in the back of our mind. We don't need them until we call 911. How many of you have driven by the fire department and you see a fire truck sitting outside, but you don't think of it? I want to make sure the public thinks about Harbor Fire Department. I want to hear from the community, unlike some board members who want to suppress the community. I want you, if you elect me on the board, call me up at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, why? I want to be the board member who gets things done. We cannot wait 2 to 3 months for a fire chief. Our board has put it off for 2 years. If I'm elected to the board, we need to do it at the next board meeting when the new board takes over in July. We have had multiple candidates that have applied for this position that are more than qualified. We have people that live in our community that are retired firefighters, fire captains, battalion chiefs. With Roger, yes, I agree. We don't need the fire chief from Los Angeles County running Harbor Fire Department, but Harbor Fire Department needs a chief. We don't need to wait another 3 months. And with that, I thank everyone for coming tonight. I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malty. Next, Chetco Community Library District position number 1, Ms. Cora Rose.
It's nice to keep things humorous at the end of a long meeting, right? This is just going to be a little catch-all of some of the things that I had hoped to say to you. So it's not an organized statement, but I wanted to let you know that one of my previous career experiences is working as the legal research fellow for the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, looking into instances of workplace discrimination, fair hiring standards, and I'm really comfortable with looking at bids and public contracts. There's been some ideas floating around about the library that aren't legally permitted under Oregon state law for special districts and for public libraries in particular. And my concern is that electing someone to the board who entertains those ideas would be opening up this beautiful library and our assets to substantial liability and potential financial loss. And that would be a real shame. My grandmother remembers a time when this library was housed in the Central Building. It was co-funded from the county and the city, and then like so much in Curry County, when the timber companies took a big hit in the 80s, the community rallied to make sure that the library continued to exist, was adequately funded, and eventually were able to build this building. And it'd be a real shame to throw that away. So I'm asking you, if you like the library and its programming, then keep the existing board relationships, the training, the institutional knowledge by voting for the incumbents, Pat Piper and Cora Rose. And finally, I want to address the idea about a committee. There is a committee for public input for the library. Our publicly elected board. Our board consists of your neighbors from around the district, which are from Carpenterville to the California border. We're elected by you to hire our librarian and oversee public funds. And then additionally, another 5 community members, civilians, if you will, are added to our numbers for the Public Budget Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. And last but certainly not least, Ms. Piper.
I'd like to just say ditto again. Don't be fooled by the fact that Cora is so new to the board. You can tell by the comments that she's made how much she's already delved into it and how much she's learned and brought to the board. Okay, I've been on the board longer than anybody else, but that's because I absolutely love it. And I still have enough energy that I want to be there and continue. Years ago, I needed surgery, and my husband was told, after the surgery, Pat will have more energy, and he went, oh God, no. But he put up with it. Okay, so the thing that I like about that is my husband was a very religious Republican, and we were married 34 years and got along really well together. And Cora and I made the decision to not hook our star on any particular entity out there. I know the people that are opposing us are being sponsored by the Republicans, and we're independent. We want the members of the board to always be independent. We want to always look at everybody's opinion, even if it isn't ours. If we have to look at something and delve into it and vote on it, we don't always agree, but we always listen to each other, and we always try to listen to the people out there, because it's your library and my library and Cora's library, and we really desperately need you to vote for us to keep this library as strong as it is right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Piper. This completes tonight's candidates forum. There is still time to talk with the candidates if you wish. We'd like to thank you for coming to the forum. I'd like to thank the Chetco Community Library for letting us using this room, and can we give a big round of applause to the library and our candidates. We'd like to wish you all a wonderful May. Thank you very much, and drive safely home.